Hello. I want to talk about three things and some insights that I've had from God recently. Yes. Um, is Christianity, in terms of Christmas Eve, just Christmas, and the consumerism and the social aspect of Christmas, as well as the spirit of Christmas. Christianity is demonic. It is a demonic religion because we live. Earth is hell. Spoiler alert. And so the church that is in this place is necessarily demonic. Uh, the idea of condemnation, all of these things, they are lies from the father of lies, actually. The way spiritual things work is by energy and tint. So you'll notice that when you've been around certain people and even yourself, the way you view the world is different. Like your literal perception changes the world in which you view it from. And quantum mechanics shows us this. I can go into like that in depth later. That's not the point here. Um, and so the argument is from what perspective are we going to look at this place from, right? And there's like a lot of layers to that. Um, so say there's somebody who like does wrong. Say they go to prison and they are and they curse people, um, they hurt people, you know. From the perspective of the devil, like the bad devil, um, the father of lies is what I like to call it, the man outside, ignorance, um, condemns that person. You know what I mean? And what they do is they convince the God within that person, like God, like their roots that's connected to the spirit of all, like the Godhead, like the child, um, that they are condemned. And so they do condemn themselves, and then they live in this hellish reality that we call Earth, in this fallen world, where they walk through their own mind, perpetually doing harm to themselves, using the physical world as a metaphor to do it. Does that make sense? Whenever you walk through this world, you are walking through your own mind as if you were meditating. So there's a lot to unpack there. You might have to watch that a couple times. Um, the other thing is the consumerism, which is the mouth inside of the mouth. You know what I mean? Like the whole like aliens thing. Um, that is like that next layer of that ignorance. Basically, it is that consumption, that voracious appetite that tastes without that eats without tasting. So like it gets that experience gets eaten, and where that goes to me is the devil. That's what I call it, the man outside, because I don't like to give it too much power. Like fuck you, you know. Um, but even from that perspective, hate and anger, not hate and anger, but like that emptiness and like that, you know, like that rot that you feel in the world when you go outside without any like safety nets to catch you, that like a lot of homeless people feel, you know. Um, it is bad. You know what I mean? Like the only real bad. However, God, from the perspective of God, like the child, the purity, this is why children when they're born are closest to God. Um, don't they don't condemn anyone. That's the lie. Is that God actually doesn't condemn anybody. That's the lie that the Father has. Uh, Father of lies. You know what I mean? Um, to me, I see her, but that might even be just a way that my own brain processes that based on my own trauma. And one of the things that she told me is that be all things to all people. So I'm assuming that is the case. But um, what's interesting is that even with all of these lies and twists and all of these really, because demons and devils, they're fucking clever. They are the smartest beings I've ever seen in my entire life. Besides angels and blah 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 and other people who are like extremely aware, like geniuses. Um, they like contort and twist things, and you'll realize the way they contort and twist things in your own mind is a reflection of how they contort and twist things in the outside world, where they create so much confusion and so much like layers and layers of twists and contortions of the truth. because in my mind the only thing that there is truth, so they can only twist truth. You can't, lies don't really exist. Lies are only born from truth. You know what I mean? Which is from, that's the perspective of God. You see what I mean? The lie would be that, like, oh, there is no truth, there's only lie. You know what I mean? That's that whole like tint versus tint, almost like when you're doing like a Dragon Ball Z energy attack from one side to the other, and you have purple over here and blue over here. Which side's gonna win? Are we gonna look at blue from the perspective of purple, or are we gonna look at purple from the perspective of blue? You know what I mean? Or red and blue, whatever. But the spirit of Christmas is real heaven. It's that sparkly twinkle in a child's eye, in which, if you loop this back around to that understanding again of what God is, that is God. That magic feeling that comes whenever you're with your family, in a very simple but very deep way, in which everything is perfect. You know what I mean? And what's interesting is that God, the real one, has used those real connections, you know what I mean? Those real things between people, instead of this weird boundary we've created when we go to church and we sit in pews. You know what I mean? As opposed to sitting by a fire and like just being real, being honest, and not playing this social game which the devil has designed to keep our souls from each other. Because when our souls come into contact with one another, God is with us, because we are necessarily that connection. And that connection, whenever you look out into the universe and you see the stars and you see that there is only connection, and connection that not yet is, there is no such thing as separation. And that is how God sees things. That there is no emptiness. There is no hate. There is only the other side of love. You know what I mean? Because that's how God's eyes are when they view ultimately themselves and reality and the universe. You know what I mean? In the same way that we create reality and view from our tint. The reason why God doesn't see your sin is because there is none. That's the lie. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing, and that's how it gets wiped clean, is because it was never there. I get excited when I think about stuff like that. Sorry, not think, but like experience. You know what I mean? And I believe everyone can experience this. So, going back to the spirit of Christmas, when you see those lights that are decorated, and those like reds and greens and whites, you know, and even the nativity scene. Interesting, right? The nativity scene. God the child. You see how that works? Born in a manger, born in a barn. Born in a barn, you know? And that kind of like humble, not humble like, oh, I am the most humble, but no. No, humble as in, y'all, we're gonna fire up some bacon and sausages and put them next to the fire and get some popcorn, and we're gonna put on, you know, a Christmas Story or a movie or something. Like, you know what I mean? There's no like holier than thou bullshit. Like, we're just family, and we're sitting here, and it's okay. It's okay to not be constantly 24/7 like studious in your spirituality. That's not what it's about. It's not. That's also a lie. It's not. It's about love. That is ultimately where all of your awareness is going to come from, where all connection, where just everything. That I would say that love is actually beyond this universe. It is beyond what you even describe as God. You know what I mean? It is beyond everything, and that's like something hard to wrap your head around, but it is. It's beyond that. It cannot be contained in any way, even in the form of all that there is. It's still beyond that. Or else they wouldn't be here. You know, God is the being who loves everyone so much they are willing to come down to hell, where everyone is perpetually trapped in their own minds, hurting themselves for eons and eons, and then repeating the cycle over and over again, and still comes down to give you a hug, still comes down and says, hey, if you look at me, if you just see the real soul in things, which is me. Not, she doesn't even say it in terms of me, but us. Like, I miss you. I love you. You know what I mean? Not from the perspective of, like, come to me, like this holier than that. No. Just, I miss you. You know what I mean? Like, where have you been? give me a hug. I selfishly want to see you like a child does. You know what I mean? Um, that spirit, that magic, and I mean magic, of Christmas, like Christmas, you know what I mean? That's God. That full stop, that's it. Like, and it's interesting is that that has come full circle to hit every single person who can come into contact with that, not just from Christianity, because Christianity is part of that whole lie. It's demonic. It's not good. There's a reason why a lot of empaths don't like churches. And if you like go back, like old Christianity, it's pretty gothic too. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like there was like stuff that is like now called witchcraft and like bad spirituality, but Christians in the olden days did it, like connecting to spirit guides, which are just your fucking angels, which is ultimately, yeah, list goes on and on and on. I could talk about this for hours. Already too long, but yeah, I wanted to commentate on this while I had just, experienced the world a bit and was around some people, and then coming back, choosing to come back to see my family in Arkansas. Right now I'm in San Antonio, but I'm wanting to come back to my family, like where I had that experience as a child. And no matter how much spiritual attainment I or you or anyone like receives, um, never forget the whole point. In the same way that like whenever you're getting really really good at drawing or painting or writing, and it starts to get better than where you were as a child, like where it starts to get good, you know what I mean, like where it's not just like, oh, that's nice, but it's like good. Don't forget the purpose of it. Don't forget the child who started, because that's the root, and that's the root of all life. In the same way that your child, your inner self, to cut that off is to cut away your life. You cannot grow up without first being a child. In the same way a tree cannot be a big redwood without being a seed, without having roots, without being connected to the earth, without being connected to mom, without being connected to that all-encompassing love even in death. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's what I want you guys to ponder and not just think about, but actualize. To think, like whenever you feel like, oh, I love this person, but like there's this weird barrier keeping me from randomly giving them a hug while they're like cooking. I don't, nah, fuck that. It, like, really, in the infinity of everything, what's gonna matter more? Some spilled beans or hugging somebody and you might never see them again? You know what I mean? So, cherish the people you love. Cherish. Like, go out of your way and be weird if you want to. Because it is selfish. Love is very selfish. That's how you know it's real. Because I love you. Not like, oh, yeah, like, care about everyone. Unless you feel that way about everyone, you don't. You, where it's like, you know what I mean? Like, selfish and. It's like when a child hugs a stuffed animal. It's like that. I need to get better at landing these things. I might do more takes, but yeah. I wanted to talk about this even if it's one of my first videos and it's not in good quality at all. I'm actually back at my mom's house, or her new apartment, with my stepdad, Rusty. So, um, yeah. Which you're gonna hear more about. He's a really cool dude. Whenever I like get stuff going, he's definitely getting in on shit. You know what I mean? Like this dude is fucking fantastic. One of the best men I've ever met in my life, and I've had like rough times with him and rough still, but very very good. Very spiritually aware. Like real Christianity in terms of like, you know what I mean, like Christmas. Um, but yeah, see you guys later, and I don't know what outro should be yet, so I want to get to know you so I can love you, because I can't love you unless I know you, you know? And no matter how many times it takes to like feel a flavor, like to really understand food, the way someone tastes, like the energy that you feel underneath them, as opposed to that's just their physical body and even the words that they tell you, but how they make you feel. I want to know that more, and I really mean that. And I think everyone does at some level, because that's how God is, or else we wouldn't be here. So I'm glad that I'm here, because I'm selfish, and I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad, more importantly, that we're all here. And I'm glad that you're here, so I'm not alone. Be safe, and yeah, I really suck at this. um, I didn't even used to like being on camera. I kind of feel narcissistic. Oh well, we'll get over it. My hair looks ridiculous too, huh? Yeah. So you guys be safe. Most people have probably checked out by now. I don't blame you. Have a good one.